Hello, my friend. Welcome to your sleep story. My name is Stephen Dalton. I'm an Irish storyteller, and it's my great privilege to be the voice that you listen to as you go to sleep tonight. Tonight I continue my series, Wanderings of an Irishman, where I tell you actual personal moments that have happened in my life, and I might divulge a little bit of my inner workings as we go. Recently I took a walking tour with my wife Rebecca in the famous Montmartre district of Paris. It was a really beautiful day, and I really enjoyed it, so I wanted to share it with you here. You'll hear about that famous area, and also how it changed or affected me in my curious state of mind on that Sunday morning. I hope you like it. Okay, let's do the relaxation session now, which will take a few minutes before tonight's sleep story. I'm going to count down from 10 to 1, and as I do, allow yourself to let go more and more. 10. Feel the support of the bed beneath you, or the floor, or whatever you lie upon tonight. And beneath that, feel the support of our planet, Earth, holding you, supporting you, keeping you safe. And with that awareness of that support, see if you can let go a little bit more now. Loosen any tension a little bit more now. 9. You are safe. Allow my voice to be an anchor of safety tonight, to be a friend, to be a voice of trust, trust in the fact that I will only ever bring you to safe places. 8. Feel into your body now. Feel where you still might be holding. Maybe it's in your feet. Maybe in your lower legs. Maybe in your belly. Perhaps in your chest. Your hands even. Or your face. I know I hold in my face. Just soften now. Just let go. More and more now. 7. The day is done. Whatever has been has been. Whatever will be, will be. Whatever thoughts you might be having about tomorrow, about today, about anything, they are not so useful now. They do not serve you, but do not fight them. See them for what they are. Just thoughts, coming and going, part of being a human. And gently let them go now. See them floating away like clouds passing in a starlit sky, or leaves floating down a moonlit river. 6. This is your moment. This is your time. You have nowhere to go right now. Nowhere to be. Allow that fact to enable you to sink deeper and deeper into this moment. Allow that fact to bring about more softening, more peace in this moment. 5. Perhaps allow a little gratitude now. Gratitude for the shelter you have tonight, for the opportunity of rest, for the simple things, your breath, your body, and those you love. 4. Peace lives within you. It is always there, just waiting to be found, waiting to be seen, waiting to be felt. See if you can find that peace tonight. See if you can feel it. 3. Begin to engage with your imagination now. Imagine yourself in the great city of Paris, about to take a walking tour. Imagine the life around you, the feeling of being curious, and the joy of letting someone else guide you for a change. For now, you don't have to think about anything. Just let me be your guide. 2. Checking in with your body one more time now. Your body has worked hard for you today. It's time to give it rest. 1. completely letting go now as I tell you tonight's sleep story. My wife and I have recently decided to come and spend some time in Paris. It is a city we both love, and a city that is worth exploring. And so, one Sunday morning, not so long ago, the kind of morning where you wake up and you feel that life is filled with endless possibilities, the kind of morning where you feel curious about the world. Curiosity, huh? What a nice state of mind to be in. To wonder about the past, about other humans, about the world we live in. To ask questions from a kind place, from a place of pure interest, of just wanting to know more. Well, anyway, that was the state of mind we were in on that Sunday morning. And so I suggested we take a walking tour of the famous Montmartre district. Some of you might know this area. It's the area that is famous for its artists, for the many who have lived there, and the many who still do. And of course, the church, Sacré-Cœur, that sits high upon a hill in Montmartre. So, Rebecca and I left our apartment, feeling ready to explore, and walked through the wide avenues of Paris. It is a city I have visited many times, but to spend an extended time here, to become a part of its energy, well, that's a very different experience. It is, if I am completely honest, tiring at times. And so, to choose to be a tourist, if only for a few hours, is a wonderful thing. It offers the opportunity of letting everything go, of moving into this state of curiosity, of letting someone else take over and lead the way. We arrive at our meeting point to be greeted by a friendly young American tour guide called Ezra. He's a really nice kid who has moved here about 1.5 years ago. He tells us, as we get to know him, that he grew up in America, always wishing to be in Paris, and that he learned French using an app on his phone. I feel his artistic spirit. I see his yearning to be in this culture and how much it means for him to be here, living his dream. I used to do his job, so I know what it's like to be asked questions and to introduce yourself on a daily basis, and for people to be interested in your life. It's a nice feeling, of course, and it's a joy to meet people from all over the world. So, Ezra meets us in front of the Moulin Rouge. The rest of our group is a small one. A nice couple from Holland and 2 English ladies, old friends. So there's just 6 of us in all, and Ezra our guide. We stand in front of the Moulin Rouge, and Ezra commences the tour. He begins to tell us about the history of the place, and I will, as we go through this sleep story, impart the knowledge to you that was imparted to me, so you can feel like you were there with me. The Moulin Rouge was opened in 1889, the same year as the Paris Exposition and the unveiling of the Eiffel Tower. It is, essentially, a big showroom, famous for being the birthplace of the can-can dance, which was considered scandalous at the time, but evolved into a respected form of cabaret entertainment. There is a red windmill on the top of the Moulin Rouge. It was inspired by the windmills that used to dot the Montmartre hillside, for this is an area, Montmartre that is, that was, in many ways, considered a separate place from Paris, and some might say still is. The Moulin Rouge has hosted iconic performers like Edith Piaf and Frank Sinatra, but it is best known for its association with legendary dancers like La Goulou, who helped popularize the can-can. The interior is lavish, with velvet seating, murals, and a grand stage designed to transport patrons into a world of decadence and glamour. A fun fact about the Moulin Rouge is that during its early years, a giant elephant was part of the decor in the outdoor garden. Visitors could actually climb inside the elephant, where it housed a small stage for more private performances. After that interesting information, we move on. We walk along the cobbled streets of Montmartre. It is busy this morning, but alas, it is always busy here. There is a feeling of being very alive in a place like this. Everything is so interesting. Everything is so captivating in its own way that there is little time to think about one's own existence, which, of course, is a welcome break. I feel like I can take a big breath on this walk. Also, however much I wanted to bring Timmy with us, I decided to take a little break from him too, and just leave him sleeping at home. Sometimes it's nice just to walk and not think about any other being, the welfare of any other being. Just to walk and look around and enjoy and breathe in the moment. The next stop on our tour is the oldest chocolate shop in Paris, à la Mère de Famille, which was established in 1761. It has a charming, old-world appearance, with a vintage green facade, large windows, and intricate gold lettering. It is really like looking into the past when you look through its window. It offers a variety of sweets, including chocolates, fruit jellies, marzipan, and candied fruits, all crafted using traditional methods passed down through generations. The shop's interior is beautiful to look at, with shelves lined with beautiful tins and jars, evoking the elegance of an 18th century boutique. We are told that during the French Revolution in 1769, à la Mère de Famille managed to stay open, offering sweets to those who could afford them. It said that their chocolates were smuggled to high-ranking officials and even royalty in hiding, making it a subtle player in revolutionary Paris. We move on, and I am enjoying talking with Ezra. He is American, but seems like a local in many ways. He has adopted the life and ways of a Parisian quite admirably. He is a kind soul, and I feel at ease in his company. I can tell that he cares about what he does, and that makes a difference. A short walk on, and we are outside the home of the great artist Van Gogh's brother. Now, sometimes people from different parts of the world say Vincent van Gogh's name differently. I hear that in America they say Van Gogh, but the Dutch people on our tour explain how it should be said. I won't try and replicate it here, but I think Van Gogh is closer than Van Gogh, and so I'll settle on that as I retell our moment standing outside the house. Theo van Gogh, Vincent's younger brother, lived at 54 Rue Le Pic in Montmartre, and Vincent moved in with Theo in 1886, shortly after arriving in Paris. The Montmartre of those days was a bustling bohemian quarter of Paris. It attracted artists, writers, and performers, and the area was still kind of rural in some ways, dotted with windmills, vineyards, and cabarets like the Moulin Rouge. It was a place of both inspiration and hardship. Artists lived in cramped studios and struggled financially, but they were surrounded by the energy of creativity and the thriving art scene. The district was known for its vibrant nightlife, with cafes and cabarets offering a respite from the day's work. The streets were filled with horse-drawn carriages, market stalls, and street performers. The sound of music and laughter echoed through the cafes, while artists sketched and painted the lively atmosphere. But despite this lively social scene, Vincent was often lonely and struggled with his mental health. His relationship with Theo was a source of emotional support, but also tension, as Vincent's erratic behavior and financial dependence weighed on both brothers. He lived there for 2 years, and during this period, his artistic style evolved significantly. Theo was an art dealer, and their apartment became a meeting place for influential artists such as Paul Gauguin, Toulouse-Lautrec, and Émile Bernard, some of Vincent's most iconic works from this time and from this apartment include Self-Portrait with a Straw Hat and View of Montmartre with Windmills. And as we look up at the apartment that they once lived in, along with Theo's wife, it should be said, it is so unassuming. If you weren't on a walking tour, you probably wouldn't notice it. But one of the greatest thinkers and artists that has ever graced humanity with their presence spent significant time in that unassuming apartment that has shutters covering the windows and a for sale sign on the apartment above. Funny how times change, I think to myself, as I look around the world of today. What would Vincent think of this world, I wonder? In many ways, the view might not have changed all that much. In particular, the street where the apartment is. But so much else has. We walk on, and I get talking to the nice English ladies on the tour. They are friendly and are enjoying Paris. They are interested in learning about myself and Rebecca, and it is just nice to commune with others, to enjoy sharing conversation with other humans. We walk past little cafes where people sit outside drinking coffee and reading books. Here there is life, and where there is life, there is hope. This is what this place gives me. It feeds my mind. It tells me that, yes, there are problems here on Earth, but humans at their best are amazing. Humans who are curious can change things. And when you are in a place like this, with people being curious and kind to each other, the hope is there, right in front of you. We start to climb a hill. Many steps are ahead of us, and I enjoy a free workout. And so I climb with gusto, getting my heartbeat up, feeling the energy that comes with that. And eventually we arrive at another unassuming building, one that you would walk past without looking at twice. But this is a place of significance, as Ezra explains. The building is in what seems like a kind of courtyard or gathering place, or I don't know what to call it, but it's a leveled out top on a hill. And the building is called Le Bateau Lavoir, originally a piano factory in the 19th century. After it closed as a factory, the building was converted into an artist residence in the early 20th century. It became a hub for avant-garde painters, writers, and sculptors. The name Le Bateau Lavoir means the laundry boat, because the building's ramshackle structure and small windows resembled the laundry boats that once floated along the Seine. Picasso moved into this building in 1904 and worked there during one of the most transformative periods of his career. It was in this building that he painted one of his most famous works, Les Demoiselles d'Avignon, which marked the beginning of Cubism. This building became a central part of the Montmartre art scene. Many great artists and intellectuals gathered here to exchange ideas. And during the early and mid-20th century, this was a time and a place of intense collaboration. Painters, writers, and sculptors fed off each other's energy, and Le Bateau Lavoir became an incubator for some of the most influential works of modern art. Legend has it that the residents of Le Bateau Lavoir would sometimes burn their own art or use their canvases as makeshift walls to block out drafts because they were too poor to afford proper heating. Picasso was known to have heated his studio with broken pieces of furniture that he scavenged from the streets of Montmartre. Ezra then turns to an unassuming fountain in the middle of this square. This is a Wallace fountain. These fountains are all over Paris, and they were donated to Paris by Sir Richard Wallace, an English philanthropist, in 1872. Wallace saw the need for clean, accessible drinking water, particularly for the poor, and funded the installation of 50 fountains throughout the city. Today, there are around 100 of them. The fountains are iconic due to their distinctive green, cast iron structure and neoclassical design. They feature 4 female figures holding up a domed roof. Each female figure represents kindness, simplicity, charity, and sobriety. And the fountains still provide free drinking water to the public. And in a way, they became a symbol of equality and charity in Paris, particularly for those who couldn't afford to buy water during the time. The fountains only operate between March and November, as freezing temperatures in winter would damage the pipes. Each Wallace fountain was strategically placed in areas where people were most likely to need free drinking water. We move on, walking through more streets, up hills and down hills, watching the life of the locals, watching the life of the tourists. Enjoying learning, enjoying being with Rebecca on this date, you might say. Eventually we stop at another interesting looking building, La Maison Rose. It was originally a boarding house and is now a charming restaurant. It has been a part of Montmartre since the early 1900s. The building's distinctive pink color, Ezra tells us, came about after the owners, a couple, returned from a trip to Barcelona, where they were inspired by the warm, vibrant colors of Mediterranean buildings. They decided to paint the boarding house pink to evoke that same spirit. It's rumored that artists like Picasso and writers such as Gertrude Stein spent time at La Maison Rose. Just around the corner from it, and down a little hill, we come to what you would never expect to find in the middle of a city. A vineyard, the Clos Montmartre. It is one of the last remaining vineyards within Paris and is located on a slope. The vineyard was planted in 1933 as a symbolic gesture to preserve the winemaking tradition of Montmartre. It covers around 1,500 square meters and produces a small quantity of wine every year. Only about 1,000 bottles are made. It's not known for being high quality, but is prized for its uniqueness and its connection to Montmartre's bohemian past. The bottles are auctioned each year and can fetch quite a price. The wine labels for this wine are designed by local artists every year, keeping with Montmartre's artistic traditions. We keep walking and eventually arrive at a church, a very beautiful church called Saint-Pierre de Montmartre, or Saint Peter of Montmartre. Ezra stops outside it and tells us that it's one of the oldest churches in Paris, originally founded in 1133 by King Louis VI and his wife, Queen Adelaide of Savoy. It was built on the site of a Roman temple dedicated to Mars, and Montmartre literally means Mountain of Mars. This has always been a sacred location, and while most visitors to Montmartre go to the Sacré-Cœur Basilica, Saint-Pierre has a very deep historical significance, being much older and more intimately tied to the early history of Paris. Here we learn that in medieval times, Montmartre was a place of pilgrimage due to its religious significance. The abbey that Saint-Pierre was part of attracted many worshippers. The iron crosses on the top of Saint-Pierre's towers are said to contain relics from the abbey that once stood there. One of the more obscure stories associated with the church is that Napoleon's soldiers supposedly used the church's original columns to practice their swordsmanship during the occupation of Paris. The damage they caused was repaired later. Ezra offers us the opportunity to go into the church, and I take it, along with Rebecca. I don't care what religion you are, or whether you have a faith, or whether you don't, or anything like that. But there's one thing I do know. That when I go into a church, I feel a sense of stepping away from it all. A sense of soothing. A sense of being reminded of what matters in life to me. I feel like I can take a big breath and take a moment to remember the simple things, the ones I care for, the ones who need help, and the bigger pictures of what it is to be a human who goes through this life doing their best. The church is beautifully crafted, and I am happy to have seen it. We move on. Only a couple more stops left. We round a corner and end up next to a doggy park. Well, that's on the left, but on the right is the most beautiful view looking out over Paris. And there, in the distance, is La Tour Eiffel, or the Eiffel Tower. I first saw that tower in the year 2009, and I remember that first moment. I had seen it in the movies. I had seen it on TV. I had seen it in books, in magazines. I had dreamed of seeing it in real life. There are just some things in the world that have that iconic place in our imagination. For me, the pyramids, which I still not have seen, the New York skyline, which I have, and the Eiffel Tower have always been among the dream destinations. And when I saw it first, it lit up my imagination as a young man in his early 20s. And when I still see it today, it lights up my imagination. It never gets old. Some people might pretend that it's every day to them, that it's just a thing I see every day. I don't believe them. I think some things are special. Some things just are worth looking at. And so I take a deep breath when I see her there, in that one place that she has stood for well over 130 years. And in that moment, Ezra tells us something that I never knew, that Gustave Eiffel, or Gustave Eiffel, the man who designed the tower? Well, he built an apartment at the top for himself. And that lights up my imagination too. To think of that man looking out at Paris from his own little room at the top of the tower. Marvelous, I think. And on we walk. Our final stop is the Basilica of the Sacré-Cœur, or the Sacred Heart Basilica, which was completed in 1914 and is situated at the highest point in Paris, at the summit of the Butte Montmartre. It is a white church made of travertine stone, which naturally cleans itself, giving it its iconic gleaming appearance. It features one of the world's largest mosaics, and the dome of the Sacré-Cœur offers one of the best panoramic views of Paris, spanning over 30 kilometers on a clear day. Visitors can climb the 300 steps to reach the top for this breathtaking view. The construction of Sacré-Cœur took nearly 40 years, and when it was finally completed, the First World War broke out, and the basilica wasn't officially a church until 1919. And then the tour is over, and we stand there saying goodbye to our new friends, having experienced a moment of great joy, of meeting new people, of being curious, of making connections, and most of all, enjoying this great part of the world, this great city of planet Earth. We thank Ezra and wish him well as he disappears into the sea of other humans. Just another one of them now, carrying all that information inside his head, just like we all have such precious information inside our unique heads. For we all matter, and we all have the right, and in a way, the obligation to be curious and to learn about this wonderful planet that we call home. Rebecca and I leave Montmartre and walk home. Time for a nap, I think.